Now, attempts to make fracking easier may have hit a setback after a judge ruled a key part of the government's planning policy was unlawful.
Yeah, the campaigning group Talk Fracking said that ministers had not taken into account all the scientific evidence on fracking and climate change. Let's go live to our environment correspondent, Judy Hobson. She's in her second home outside Quadrilla's shale gas site on Preston New Road in Lancashire. Judy, it's complicated, it's legal argument. How significant, though, is it?
Well, it has the potential to be very significant. This, as you say, is all about climate change. Now, whether fracking is beneficial for the environment is what this is all about. The government's main reason for fracking is they say, have a site like this and get the gas out. That's far better for the environment than importing it. And that's affected government policy. Well, anti-fracking campaigners went to the High Court and said, they're not sure that's actually true. There are plenty of scientific papers which suggest otherwise, and the government just hasn't bothered reading or has ignored those papers. Well, the judge in the High Court agreed with them, and he said that by not looking at those papers, the government had acted unlawfully. The fracking pad at Preston New Road is eerily quiet today. The government granted permission for this site, partly because it said home-produced gas was better for the environment than importing it. But at the High Court, campaign group Talk Fracking questioned that, claiming the government hadn't taken into account all the scientific evidence, and the judge agreed.
We will be pressing the government to actually conduct a fair and proper consultation, taking account of all the evidence, just like they did in Scotland, and looking at the scientific developments that they haven't looked at for the last 7 years.
Campaigners argued the government hadn't considered the MOBS report, a scientific paper which cast some doubt on shale gas as a low-carbon energy. The judge ruled that a public consultation on fracking was so flawed in its design and process as to be unlawful.
What the judge has ruled is basically undermined that advice by saying that really, we can take into account climate breakdown, and we can use that as a mitigating factor in rejecting planning applications for such projects.
But we still need gas, so where's it going to come from?
We're not there. We know we've got to go through a transition. I mean, why would you start a whole new fossil fuel industry, which is only going to exacerbate climate change issues? Why would you do that? It's a backward step, and I just think this is quite momentous because the government are going to have to look at the impact of that now.
The oil and gas industry said today the ruling wasn't about fracking, it was about the process of government consultation, and it would have no effect on shale gas operations in the UK.
Well, right now over half the gas we use is imported. Those imports pre-combustion are twice as high in carbon emissions as UK shale gas is forecast to be. So by displacing liquefied natural gas imports with our own gas, we will immediately start to make some climate savings.
Fracking equipment has temporarily been taken off this site. Quadrilla said rules on earth tremors were almost unworkable. But it's clear climate change science has to remain under review in any decisions about our energy future. This ruling is about procedure. It's not about whether fracking is green or not, but it implies that local authorities and campaigners could object to planning permission for sites on climate change grounds, and that would be new. Also, it suggests that fracking may not be classed as low carbon, and that could affect future policy as well. Now, the government will say, of course, as well as this effect on climate change, fracking would give us secure energy and it would create jobs. But of course, its effect on our climate is going to be the key to the future of this industry.
Judy, thanks very much indeed. Judy Hobson there.